Parents take sister on vacation instead of me. Later on, she ruined family vacation and got arrested. We had been looking forward to this family holiday for months, and it was meant to be fun. We were all going to a gorgeous beach resort for a week of rest and bonding, my dad had promised. But when the time eventually arrived, they surprised me by telling me that my sister would be going with them rather than me. It seemed unbelievable to me. How could they abandon me? I was the responsible one. I did well in school and was constantly helping out around the house. In contrast, my sister was a continual source of problems and stress for my parents. They just replied that they believed my sister needed the trip more than I did when I challenged them about it. They stated they wanted to do something pleasant for her because they knew she had been going through a difficult period lately. I felt furious and saddened, but I was powerless to stop it. I therefore felt alone and abandoned at home while my parents and sister flew off to paradise. I first made an effort to make the most of it. I caught up on homework, went out with friends, and even took some time for myself. I couldn't get rid of the betrayal sense, though deep down. I assumed that my sister and dad were having the time of their lives in the meanwhile. They shared photos of themselves enjoying fine beverages, discovering the neighborhood's attractions, and relaxing on the beach on social media. I started to feel even more alienated and unwelcome in my own family as a result. However, midway during their trip, my folks called me. They sounded angry and panicked. My sister had gotten herself into some severe difficulty, it turned out. She reportedly got into a violent argument with another resort visitor after drinking alcohol when underage. My sister was now being charged when the police were summoned. It seemed unbelievable to me. How was she able to be so careless? And why were my parents putting up with her acting in this manner? I wanted to be upset with them, to hold them accountable for putting my sister above me and supporting her actions. However, I also felt bad for them. They were handling a dilemma with their own daughter while thousands of miles away from their home. Ultimately, I made the decision to set my injured sentiments aside and do all in my power to assist my family. I stayed in touch with attorneys, guided them through the legal system, and informed them of developments back home. After a difficult journey, my sister was ultimately freed on bond and permitted to go back to my parents' house. Our family had been strained by the entire experience, but it had also strengthened our bonds. My parents told me they were sorry I missed the trip as we sat down to discuss about what had transpired. They acknowledged that their initial assumption that my sister needed the vacation more than I did was incorrect. Knowing that they were simply attempting to do what they believed to be best for our family, I was able to forgive them. However, I also stated unequivocally that, like my sister, I should be treated with decency and thoughtfulness. My parents tried to involve me in family decisions and activities ever since that day. They came to see that my sentiments were essential and that I was as important to my sister. Regarding my sister, she gained insight from her run-in with the law. She committed to abstaining from alcohol and making better decisions going forward. She found it difficult to alter her conduct, but with our family's love and encouragement, she was able to make a complete turnaround in her life. What first appeared to be a terrible trip ended up being a turning moment in our family's history. We gained a greater sense of appreciation for one another, learned how to speak honestly and freely, and learned never to take our time together for granted. I may not have gotten to go to that beach resort, but I did get to have a better, more durable family tie, which is far more precious, and I sincerely appreciate that. Our family dynamic had changed when we got back from the vacation that had been ruined by my sister's careless actions. A feeling of uneasiness that had never existed before was evident in the tension that persisted in the atmosphere. Following my sister's arrest, my parents were attempting to manage the legal repercussions and make sure she had the support she required to avoid problems. As all was going on, my sister was dealing with emotions of shame and remorse as she realized how serious her acts were and how they affected our family. As for me, I was thrown into a new position in the family as a confidant and mediator. My parents looked on me to help maintain harmony and to assist them and my sister communicate. Even though it was a big responsibility, I felt I had to stand up for my family. We attended several court appearances and sessions with attorneys in the weeks that followed in an effort to manage the convoluted legal system and secure the best result for my sister. Even though it was a difficult and emotionally taxing process, we were committed to finishing it together. We made progress and had moments of hope despite the obstacles we had to overcome. In order to address her underlying problems and acquire healthier coping skills, my sister started going to therapy sessions. To aid in our recovery and the restoration of our mutual trust, my parents also enrolled us in family therapy. I made an effort to be a constant for my family throughout it all, providing help and encouragement when I could. However, it wasn't simple. There were times when I wished things could go back to how they had been, feeling overburdened and angry. But I felt deep down that the events of that disastrous vacation had permanently altered our family. We had been forced to face the repercussions of our acts, the harsh truths of life, and our own faults. Ultimately, our love for one another got us through the most difficult times. Despite our missteps along the road, we never lost sight of the important thing, our relationship as a family. Ahead of my sister's court date, things were becoming tense. We were all worried about what was ahead and unsure of how things would turn out. However, we were aware that, as a family, we would deal with whatever came our way. And when that day eventually came, we all appeared in the courtroom together, determined to stand by my sister and assist her in accepting accountability for her deeds. Although it was a trying and painful event, it also marked a sea change in our family's history. We were in tears, of course, but we were also relieved when the judge delivered my sister's punishment. We could now move ahead, stronger and more resilient than ever since it was finally ended. My sister put a lot of effort into making changes in her life in the months and years that followed. She finished her statement and vowed to start changing for the better. And she was able to accomplish it because to our family's constant support. Our family is closer than ever these days. Together, we have endured the storm and come out stronger on the other side. Even though the trip didn't go as planned, it ended up strengthening our bond and teaching us important lessons about forgiveness, love, and perseverance. We are reminded of how far we've come and how much we've developed as a family and as individuals when we reflect back on that trying period. We are appreciative of the ties that bind us together and the strength we have found in one another, even if we may never forget the circumstances that brought us to this point. Following my sister's arrest and the ensuing court cases, our family had a difficult road ahead of us. Even after the immediate crisis had passed, there were unresolved problems that still needed to be dealt with. Rebuilding our family's dynamic and restoring trust were two of the most difficult tasks we had to complete. We were no longer as close as we once were because of my sister's behavior, and it would take time and work to heal those wounds. In order to do that, we carried on with individual and family therapy sessions. These meetings gave us a secure environment in which to discuss our worries and sentiments while resolving any difficulties that had arisen as a result of my sister's actions. It was not simple. As we processed the sorrow and betrayal we had all felt, there were times when we felt frustrated and angry. But gradually, we made headway and improved our ability to speak candidly and freely with one another. Particularly, my sister battled emotions of shame and regret for what she had done. She was adamant about making apologies and regaining our family's confidence, but it would not be easy. I made an effort to be there for her, helping and encouraging her wherever I could. I was aware of her sincere regret for what she had done and her determination to change her ways. But I also understood that she would require all the assistance she could receive because it would be a protracted and challenging road. My sister started to make good adjustments in her life over time. She visited support groups, engaged in counseling programs, and made efforts to address the underlying problems that had misled her. There were obstacles to overcome and difficulties along the route. However, she persisted, determined to make the most of her second opportunity, with the love and support of our family. Our family's dynamics started to gradually return to normal in the meantime. We enjoyed getting to spend time together once more, joking and telling tales the way we used to. Even while the past still left wounds, we were gradually learning to move on, day by day. My sister kept moving forward on her own path in the years that followed. She rekindled her hobbies, built wholesome connections, and secured a job she enjoyed. However, the shift that had occurred within our family was maybe the most significant of all. We had become stronger and closer as a result of hardship, creating an unbreakable relationship. I can't help but be thankful for the family's progress and the lessons we acquired as we reflect on that difficult period. Even though the trip didn't go as planned, in the end it strengthened our bonds as a family and brought us closer together. We are unified in our will to assist one another and overcome any obstacles that may arise, and as a result, we are stronger and more resilient than ever. We are appreciative of the route that took us to this point, even if we might never forget the things that happened to us along the way. Our family kept getting better and stronger as time passed. We had persevered through hardship and emerged stronger than before. However, the memories of that fatal holiday continued to nag in the back of our thoughts as we went on. It served as a continual reminder to me of the value of family and the necessity of cherishing the time we spend together. I had discovered the hard way how valuable life is and how important it is to cherish the time spent with those we love. After my sister's arrest, my parents had also experienced a change in character. They had promised to treat me and her with the same amount of love and respect after realizing their faults in putting her before me. My sister, on the other hand, had completely changed her life. She had maintained her good behavior, maintained a reliable employment, and even began volunteering her time to the community. Seeing how much she had changed and matured as a person was encouraging. However, despite all of our accomplishments, remorse and sorrow over what had transpired persisted. Although we were unable to alter the past, we could still learn from it and utilize it as a springboard for improvement. We deliberately tried to make new memories as a family in the years that followed. We treasured the time we had together, went on trips, and observed holidays and birthdays. And no matter what, we never forgot the lessons we had discovered on that disastrous holiday. We gained knowledge about the value of open communication, mercy, and unwavering love. We discovered that, as a family, we could conquer whatever obstacles we encountered. I see now, looking back on that trying period, that it was a turning moment for all of us. It made us face our shortcomings and imperfections, but it also offered us the chance to develop and become better versions of ourselves. Even though I wouldn't want anyone to experience what we did, I am appreciative of the lessons it taught us and the fortitude it bestowed upon our family. Even though the vacation didn't go as planned, in the end it strengthened our bond and helped us understand the real worth of family, and I will always be grateful for it.